predict what curve I was going to get sick on. Back in those days, there was no interstate. We had up and down through Peel Chestnut Mountain, not Peel Chestnut Mountain, Big Walker Mountain, and all up and down. And I would always get sick, twice going to Withfield and then returning one time. And they'd say, I had to sit on my mother's lap, and she'd say, "All right, how you feeling?" I says, "Gonna have to stop on the next curve." And I'd open the door and I'd vomit, and then they'd put me back in there. And that was, you know, a bad trip for me. And back in those days, it seemed like I had nosebleeds all the time, or earaches. So, I mean, just, I can remember putting drops in my ears, and Dr. Ballard was our doctor at the time, and I have to go in there and they'd flush my ears out because I had a lot of wax and build up in my ears. And I know when you get sick, Dr. Ballard would come to your house, and you could hear him whistling all the way. I lived near the jail, by the way, right, not far from the firehouse. And so when Dr. Ballard would come, he'd be whistling. He always he wasn't in any hurry. He just always came to the house and took care of you. And I think everybody in town paid something like $3 or $4 a month. That took care of your medical bills. I mean, we didn't make a charge when you came to see you because you'd already paid $3 or $4, and that took care of the whole family. The $3 or $4 did. Just trying to think of some other little stories that might be interesting. Stop it just for 1 second, if you don't. And what I became and where I moved to and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So anyway, I graduated in 1953 from Pocahontas High School. There were 52 people in my graduating class. And Jimmy French and I were the only two that went away to college. He went to UVA, and I went to Roanoke College. I had a real tough time. I didn't know how to study. I didn't have my memory was not good, and I came close to flunking out. The dean came and called me in because my brother had gone to Roanoke College before me, 4 years before. And he says, "Tommy," he said, "you've got to get out of that fraternity house." He says, "You're going to flunk out if I don't get you out of there." And he says, "I've already found you a place to go to." So I went to Mrs. Burke's house. It was a big colonial mansion up on the mountain, and they had a slave quarters. So I got the slave quarters, and I was there. My grades steadily got better. And then my junior year, I decided I want to go to dental school. Then I had to go back and take organic and inorganic and all that stuff that I hadn't taken. And I'd already had a business degree. So I graduated from Roanoke College, took organic chemistry at up in the valleys, Shenandoah Valley. Then I went to dental school 4 years, graduated in 1961. After that, I took an internship in Florida. They had about 250 people trying to get an internship. There was only 6 slots available. So I went down there and presented myself and told them who I was and told them I really wanted this internship. And it was at a 7,000 patient mental hospital. And you're talking about an interesting place to be. I learned a whole lot about schizophrenic and all kinds of syphilitic patients, and we just had it all. From there, I went to join the Army. I was drafted during the Korean conflict. I was a captain. I had training at Camp Bullis down in Texas, and there I was shooting M14s, throwing hand grenades, going in, being trained as a combat officer. From there, I went to Brooke Army Medical Center, and instead of going to Korea where I thought I was going to go, they shipped me to Fort Stewart, Georgia, and it's an armor and artillery firing center in Georgia. And there I learned how to quail hunt and turkey hunt, and I killed a wild boar one time and drug it out through the swamps, and that was a really good experience. And after that, I couldn't decide whether I wanted to go to Florida and set up a practice or whether I wanted to go to Virginia. So I went to Florida. I took the Florida State Board and passed it, and about half of us passed, the other half didn't pass. And so I went down there looking around for a place to practice. I was looking at Lake Wales and Lakeland area, and a lot back in 1964, just a plain lot was $25,000 on any place down there. And I bought a 564-acre farm down near Appomattox for $39,000. and it had a slate roof on it. Beautiful home. It belonged to the Marshall family, and so we still have that in the family. Bought that farm, and a little later I bought a 700-acre farm near Whitfield, Graham's Forge. I had a herd of cattle. Cattle got pink eye and ran in every direction. I couldn't keep them fenced in. I had bad fences. So I had to get somebody to feed my cattle through the winter. And so I got a cornet fellow from over Elk Creek, said he would do it. And by the end of the spring, he said, "You owe me $35,000. And I said, "You just keep those cows. I don't believe I want them anyway." So that was one of the things. Everything I haven't done has not turned to gold by any stretch of imagination, but that was a great experience. I have a nursery in Whitfield. I live on 400 acres in a log house. And up behind, I have a nursery where I have probably 30 acres of Colorado blue spruces and birches, and we dig them and put them in bags and ship them off to D.C. and New York and all places. Willow Springs Nursery, they look after everything. They do the trimming, fertilizing, the clipping, the mowing. I don't do any of that. And but one time I got the idea I was going to sell maple trees. So I had some nice big fields, maybe 15, 20 acre fields, and I bought 15,000 maple trees. I had silver and sugar and reds, and I planted them all about 4 or 5 feet apart, and I had them all over the place. And Willow Springs said, "You know, you're going to have to trim these things and fertilize them, or the weeds are going to take them over." And I thought about it for about 2 weeks, and I says, Luis works for me, has for 15 years, he's from Nicaragua. I said, "Luis, go put the bush hog on the tractor and mow all those trees down. I'm not going to keep them." So we don't have any maples there now, but we do have Colorado blue spruce and some hemlocks and some birches. And so my great interest is in music. I've a band at Pocahontas when Jack Dishman came here right out of the Army. And I had a band in Roanoke College. I had a band when I was at dental school. And I had a band all the way through 30 years of living in Whitfield. And so over the last 15 years, I have written over 200 songs and I've recorded a number of them in Nashville. And so if you would like to see something about my music, you can go on the internet and type in CD Baby, and type in Dr. Tom Butt under the search. And then you can listen to 125 songs, a lot of which I've written. I've also done a religious album. I've done 2 or 3 country albums. The last 2 was always the best country album, with Hello Darling and For the Good Times and Country Roads. And my very last one is still always the best, Dr. Tom Butt. Go to Nashville on the 4th of next month in preparation for my 9th CD. And that'll be a lot of fun, and I hope maybe you'll get to go and listen to some of my music.
All right. Awesome.
Is that okay?